What's up, my YouTubians? I'm Asherella. This is my channel, Original Asherella. Today's video, I'm going to be telling you guys a story, a true story from my life. And it's one of those types of stories that really reinforces the idea that, like, you get back what you put out into the world. You know, like what goes around comes around. Karma, if you will. And it's a little bit scandalous. It's very entertaining, and it has a pretty satisfying ending, so definitely stick around for it. But before I get into that, make sure you subscribe to the channel, this channel, Original Asherella. Leave me a like, leave me a comment, gently caress that notification bell, and follow me on my social media. Alright guys, so like I mentioned in the intro, this is a true story from my life, and I was reminded of it the other day when I did the r/relationship advice video about the cheerleading coach, because this story is about one of my high school cheerleading coaches. Before I really get into it, just a little bit of, you know, Asherella backstory. I was a cheerleader like my whole young life, like from when I was like 5 or 6, like a rec league, football, cheerleading, all the way up through high school, like varsity. The area that I'm from, I describe it as very much like a Friday Night Lights type of small town, and, you know, high school athletics and, you know, cheering is like a pretty big deal. You know, that was no exception with my town, you know, so it was a pretty big deal to be like, you know, a cheerleader, especially when you got a little bit older. But I've always been Asherella. So while I was a cheerleader and I really enjoyed cheering, I was still me. Like, you know, I started putting pink stripes in my hair at like 14, and I know that's not that like crazy lately, but, you know, when I was younger, it was definitely unique. You know, I wasn't just a cheerleader, and I definitely did not, you know, fit into that stereotype. Whenever I talk about being a cheerleader, you know, when I was like in high school and younger, some people are like, oh yeah, I can totally see that. And then some people are like, I could never see you as a cheerleader. And I'm like, one way or the other, like, I mean, whatever I was, you know. And, you know, my mom always, like, you know, encouraged me to pursue and like the things I like, even if they didn't, like, fit into a certain type of mold or a stereotype. You know, she didn't try to like mold me into being like one specific way. So I was a cheerleader, I was in theater, I was in band. Like, there were times that I marched like halftime shows at football games in my cheerleading uniform because I was doing both. You know, I liked to cheer, I liked music, I liked the things I like, and I didn't let being a part of one take me out of another. So that's that, and that's relevant to the story. So, okay, when I was in high school, the sponsor for the cheerleading program was this lady, and she was also the senior class guidance counselor. She never liked Asherella at all. She was my she was coach of one of the squads, but she was the sponsor for like the entire program. Like, she was in charge of the entire high school cheerleading program, you know, JV squads, varsity squads, like freshman squads, like everything, competition, all that thing. But she was also the senior class guidance counselor. But like I said, she never really liked Asherella because I did not fit into like her idea of what a cheerleader should be. I'm getting really hot. I've got to take my jacket off. Anyway, so, you know, I was never like stereotypical cheerleader because like I was in band and I was in theater, and, you know, I did all that stuff also. You know, she wanted her cheerleaders to be like blonde and preppy and, you know, like stereotypical cheerleaders. Like, she wanted the girls to date like the football players, and like, you know, I was not that type of cheerleader, and she just did not like me for it. Like, it was very obvious that she did not like me. And, you know, I mean, I wouldn't say she like tortured me, but she just made things a little harder for me, like, throughout that experience, because again, I wasn't what she thought a cheerleader should be. Okay, just like one example of like how she would just be like a little extra like shitty to me is as follows. So my high school was hosting like a cheerleading competition. Cheer squads from like all over that part of the state were coming to compete, and they had these t-shirts made up that were, they were like commemorating like this event, this cheerleading competition. And like a few weeks before the actual event, we could like pre-order one, but I didn't want one. They were super ugly, very basic, like nothing I would have worn. I didn't really care to have a t-shirt like commemorating this event. Not that I was like anti-cheerleading competition. It was just like, I didn't want one, right? And so, they order the t-shirts, they come in and they have extras, to sell at the event. But she calls me into her office because she has my t-shirt. And I'm like, I didn't order a t-shirt. She's like, yes, you did. And I was like, no, I didn't want one. I didn't order one. And she's like, no, you ordered one. I've got yours right here. You need to bring a check in for it. And they were like $20-some for like ugly t-shirts. And like, when you're a teenager, $20-some is a lot. Hell, $20-some is still a lot sometimes. But like, and what did I do? I like brought a check in the next day for it because like, how do I prove that I didn't order one? Like how, like, is it worth like making things harder for me? Like continuing to push back against this? No, it wasn't. She was always just like very rude, very short with me. She, did not do things to try to like accommodate like my multiple interests, because sometimes like a rehearsal or a practice or something would, overlap on scheduling. She did everything she could to try to make that type of thing more difficult for me. But this is what happened to Miss Cheerleading Coach Sponsor Lady. I graduated high school, a few years go by, and she gets busted for embezzling from the cheerleading program of my high school. She was charged with embezzling $50,000 plus from the cheerleading program. She had started depositing funds that were for the cheerleading program, like from like, money for uniforms, fundraisers, donations, that type of thing, into a personal checking account. And she was using this money in this personal checking account to buy personal things, like to spend on herself. Like she wasn't using the money for the cheerleading program. She had no, oh my God. And like whenever I found that out, it was like so satisfying because she was always just like a shady and snotty lady person, rude, just didn't like me because of who I was. And now she is being publicly humiliated. Miss Prissy Perfect, my perfect little cheerleaders, is being publicly humiliated for committing a crime. There's more though, okay? So she had no like prior criminal history record at all, okay? So she ends up taking a plea deal. They give her 10 years suspended, but 5 years of supervised probation. So she really, she did some county jail time, but she ended up avoiding like long-term prison time. But then she gets this, and she's basically gotten away with it. I think she was ordered to pay like restitution. She's all but gotten away with it. Publicly humiliated, like charged with a felony. She didn't get away with it, but she avoided prison time, and for a lady like this, that's got to be a relief. She gets arrested. She gets arrested again after all of this for grand larceny for shoplifting. And in Virginia, I don't know what the amount to make it like, like misdemeanor shoplifting to grand larceny. I think it's about like $500 or more is considered grand larceny. I could be mistaken. But yeah, she gets arrested for grand larceny. She gets out on bond. The judge in that case had set a $25,000 bond. She gets out. A few weeks later, she gets arrested for shoplifting again. Another grand larceny charge. And this time, I don't know where she was shoplifting the first time, but this time it was from Kohl's, like a Kohl's department store. And so this snotty, prissy ass, like rude lady who is just so hoity, she embezzles money, gets caught. Then she shoplifts, gets caught, and then she shoplifts again and gets caught doing it. So talk about like a fall from grace. It's like she was so like hoity and like snotty, and now like she's being exposed for like the trashy bitch that she was. I found it so incredibly satisfying. Like, and I don't like to see people do bad things and, bad situations happen to them, but you reap what you sow, and this is absolutely like, somebody getting back from the world and the universe what they have put out into the world and the universe. Like, I'm not a very religious person. I certainly think, like, there's something to the whole, like, maybe not karma by definition, but, what goes around comes around in a lot of ways. And, so talk about so satisfying. I don't know. I think she ended up, and, like, on the second time she got busted for shoplifting, grand larceny charge, rather, her bond was revoked, and they did not set any bail for her. So she had to sit in jail until that court case. I don't know what happened after that. I tried to find some articles online because, like, I moved away from home to go to college and, have not lived there since I graduated high school, basically. I don't know exactly what happened after the second grand larceny trial or what happened or where she is now. I really don't care. Just a little icing on the cake and cherry on top. Her mugshot is so bad. Her face is so broken out, and she looks like trash in her mugshot. And I know that had to be like a knife to the gut for her. Yeah. Like, the reason I just had such issue with her is because she didn't like that I was not a stereotype, she didn't like that I wouldn't succumb to what she thought a cheerleader should be. Like, she just didn't like that Asherella was kind of unique. But I guess that's it. So what do y'all think about this story from Asherella's life? True story, very true story. Let me know, did you guys have any, like, really bad relationships with, like, teachers, coaches, professors, anything like that throughout your, young life experience? Let me know down in the comments below. If this is your first time here on my channel, thanks so much for coming by. I talk about all kinds of stuff. If you subscribe here and this is your 50th time here on my channel, thanks so much for coming back. I really appreciate it, more than I can really say. But if you don't subscribe to the channel, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Leave me a like and a comment. Gently press the notification bell. Always tap in, never tap out, and keep on slaying, like I said.